Hello everyone and welcome to the Musical Ladder Portal. In today's video, I'm going to be going over all of the functionality inside of the teacher portal. So as you can see, I've currently logged in as a teacher from our demo school. I am logged in as teacher Ava. So as Ava, I can see all of my students here on the left, as well as their names, what level they're currently on, and what instrument Ava is teaching them. Over here on the left, we have the calendar for the teacher, which will show all of the teacher's invited events, whether they be blue or green, as well as any of the students' scheduled tests. So as you can see, we have Bjork's on the 11th, Tom's on the 16th, and Ricky's scheduled for the 21st. We can, of course, go back 1 month or forward 1 month, depending on what we need to see. As you can see, we have one scheduled for October 23rd, and that will be Artie's. We can switch between month, week, and day view if we would like. And we can always get back to today in whichever view you're in just by hitting today. Okay, so that will bring you back to this current month. So going into a little bit more detail, if your school is part of a network and the teacher has access to other schools, they will see this select school option available on their navigation bar. If your school does not have any sort of network or anything like that, this will not be displayed. But if they do, you can simply click that select school and they will be able to see which schools they can go between. So in our demo school, we have the demo school, which is the currently logged in school, as well as the other demo school, which would be the second school that Ava could go between. As we move down, before we get into the actual student interaction, we have an area down here called My Upcoming Events, which will display all of the events the teacher has been invited to, whether it is a global event or a selective event. They will see them listed here. They will also be able to see any of the upcoming tests that are scheduled. So as you guys can see on our calendar, we have Bjork, Tom, and Ricky, and of course we have Bjork, Tom, and Ricky here as well, along with the dates that those tests are scheduled. Underneath that, of course, you also have my unscheduled tests, and what this does is it projects the next test for the students who do not currently have a scheduled test. So as you can see here, we have James. His next scheduled test is projected for October 23rd, and this date is based off of his last completed test. Same with Timmy's Vivace test. So he is projected to take his test in the middle of December around the 19th. Okay. So we're going to scroll back up to the very top here, and we're just going to go through a couple of options. So James is the one that we actually have an unscheduled test for. We're looking to schedule his test around October 23rd. So we're going to scroll up to James here, and we're going to go ahead and open up his information bar. So when we hit that plus sign, we're going to be able to see James' information between him and Ava. As far as notes that Ava has sent, as we can see, she hasn't sent him any, so we're going to go ahead and add a note. So in a note, a teacher can send a multitude of different things. They can, of course, just send only text by using the note field here. You can also send attachments, which may be MP3, MP4 files, sheet music, a text document, things like that, PDFs. You can choose to add those through the attachment field. Now, of course, to add an attachment, you would just hit the Choose File button to attach those files that I was going over. Now we're just going to go ahead and save this note by clicking Submit. And as we come back to our home page and open up James Barlow again, if we look at notes, you are going to see, of course, that that note is there. So the next thing that teachers are capable of doing is creating tests. Now, like I said earlier, down here at the bottom section, we have the unscheduled test areas. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and schedule James's upcoming piano apprentice test. So if we come back up to James and we go to tests, And as you can see, he's on the ladder. So the next available test when we hit add test will be his apprentice test. Now, as you schedule tests, tests can only be scheduled for the next available test. So as the students work up, all you have to do is click add test, and it will of course add their next test as they work up the musical ladder. So since we wanted to schedule it, we'll go ahead and hit date scheduled. We'll go ahead and go to October, and we'll hit the October 23rd date. Now, if we would like, we could add any notes, and then we would hit submit. And once we hit submit, we'll then see that if we open James up again and look at his tests, his test is going to be scheduled for October 23rd. And if we go forward on the calendar to the next month, we're going to see that we have 2 scheduled for October 23rd. Now, there are different things that you can do with tests. You can reschedule tests, which means you'll just want to reschedule and change that schedule date. You can cancel tests, which means that you would just be deleting the test. So we're going to go ahead and reschedule one, and we can do this in one of 2 ways. The easiest way is to find the test on your calendar. So we're going to take Bjork's test, and we're just going to click it. It's going to open up the test. And what we can do is we can change that date scheduled. So if we know that his family's going out of town and he's not going to be here on the 11th, he's going to come into the next week lesson. So we're going to go ahead and schedule it for the 18th. And we can move these forward as many times as we want. So we'll just go ahead and click submit. And again, we'll see then that his test is now scheduled for the 18th. Another way to do this, of course, is to actually open up the student itself. So let's take Bjork's, and we're going to go ahead and reschedule it back to the 11th. So let's go find Bjork down here. We're going to open up his information bar. We're going to go ahead and open up his tests, and we're going to edit his currently open Prima test. So if we hit edit, we're going to reschedule this back to the 11th. So we'll just hit the 11th, and we'll click submit. And again, that's going to move the test back to the 11th, but there's 2 ways of doing that. You can go straight through the calendar, or you can find the student and change the scheduled date there. The last thing that as a teacher you have the capability of doing is, of course, deleting a test or canceling a test. If you do that, we can go ahead and let's see who we have. We'll go ahead and do Tom's. Again, same principle as scheduling. You can click it straight from the calendar or find the student in your list. Calendar is always easier because it's right here. If we click Tom, we can see that he was scheduled the 16th. And what we can do is we can write a note as to why we're canceling the test, and then we can just hit delete. And what that's going to do is it is going to remove him from the calendar, and he's going to be removed from the upcoming tests. And he's actually going to be put back onto the unscheduled test. And from there, you're also going to see that he is still on Rockstar, and we can, of course, add that test back at any time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe down below to be kept up to date on all the new Musical Ladder portal enhancements and updates.